Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na naglilinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today to praise and worship you and give you thanks for all the things you continue to provide for ourselves and our families. Father, we humbly ask for forgiveness for all the times we have offended you, when we forget to acknowledge your presence in the image of our brothers and sisters, and for moments we fail to be good stewards of the blessings you have given us. Continue to guide and protect each one of us, Lord, that we may always walk in the light of your everlasting love and mercy. Grant us, Father, with your comfort in times of distress and with your strength in times of weakness. Bestow upon us your unending grace and healing, that we may in turn become instruments of gentleness and compassion to others. We ask all this in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, with the prayer and the intercession of our Blessed Mother. Amen.
Good morning, Philippines! Good morning, Schools Division of Surigao del Sur! Good morning to you, Teacher Myla.
Good morning to you, Teacher Sheen. I feel so excited of what will transpire today in this prestigious event in research.
Yes, Teacher Myla. I too feel the same. We would like to pay respect first to our very supportive and intelligent Schools Division Superintendent, Madame Lucita B. Carmen, CISO 5. Also, our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Madame Jasmine R. Lacuna.
And of course, the Chief of CID, Dr. Celsa Casa, and Chief of SGOD, Dr. Elvira S. Orbistondo, Public Schools District Supervisors, school heads, teachers, learners, and stakeholders, our warmest greetings to you all. Welcome to Surigao del Sur Division Virtual Research Forum.
To start up, let's hear the welcome message of our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Madame Jasmine R. Lacuna.
Our salute to all the researchers and influencers of SDO Surigao del Sur, headed by SDS Jusita B. Carmen, Chiefs LV Orbistondo and Celsa Casa, our SEPs for Research and Planning, Ms. Liza Mistula Gingging, to the 35 PSDSS and to all the school heads of DepEd Surigao del Sur. I say influencers because your passion translated into your studies will be game changers in easing out the pains brought about by COVID-19 in the educational setting. While our medical frontliners are saddled with finding the cure, we in DepEd are also putting our minds together to find out ways in order to make it sure that education continues. As researchers and enthusiasts, we commend your efforts to understanding how we should be carrying out our teaching activities in this moment of social isolation. More than ever, this pandemic is an opportune time when we create or recreate bodies of knowledge to help us navigate the educational landscape. Today, we are confronted with questions about whether and how students and schools can meet education policy expectations, how our schools can provide adequate support for students, particularly those with special educational and mental health needs, and those in geographically isolated and depressed areas. Moreover, we are also confronted with chances to answer queries on how our school leaders, our teachers can collaborate and coordinate with government, with non-profits and other stakeholders to meet the student needs via our learning continuity plan. Having said all this, we invite everyone to get hooked with our virtual research program, as select schools in our division will be presenting their learning continuity plans. A seasoned and well-renowned and well-decorated school head, Dr. Fluilin Cos, will present to us how outstanding leaders think and act in this new normal. Furthermore, our SEPs in Planning and Research, Ms. Liza, will further explain to us research in the new normal. We hope that our internet signal will cooperate. Our brain neurons are still active for this timely learning engagement. Thank you all for watching and for your proactive participation and response. Have fun watching, everyone. Welcome to this virtual Division Research Forum.
Thank you, ASDS Lacuna. To acknowledge all of us in this virtual forum, may we have our Chief of the School Governance and Operations Division, Dr. Elvira S. Orbistondo.
Good morning, everyone. Surigao del Sur has been very active when it comes to research endeavors. This pandemic time does not hamper us to continue learning and researching relevant and innovative strategies just to address issues and concerns, especially that we are still preparing for the opening of classes. We need to be creative enough to fit in to these new normal times so that we can also share to our learners what they deserve to have. Today, as we begin this regular research forum, let me take this opportunity to acknowledge the personalities behind this. To our school's Division Superintendent, Madam Josita B. Carmen, CISO 5, for the unending support and encouragement given to the research team. To our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Madam Jasmine Lacuna, for the assistance as the chair of the Division Research Team. To the Chief of the CID, Dr. Silsa A. Casa, for being always at the forefront when it comes to research in the curriculum. To our active and dynamic counterparts in the field, our district supervisors, school heads, teachers, and our learners. To the Planning and Research Unit for the conceptualization of this regular program. We also would like to give special recognition to the select school presenters today. Cantilan National High School, Union National High School, Maglambing Integrated School, Sinai Elementary School, and Tagbina Central Elementary School. A special mention to our resource speakers, Dr. Floelen Cos, Principal 4 of Carrascal National High School, and Ms. Liza Gingging, our Senior Education Program Specialist. To all of you who are joining today in this virtual research forum, we thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chief Orbistondo. Ladies and gentlemen, this regular research program is conceptualized for a purpose. To tell us more on the background of this program, may we have the Senior Education Program Specialist in Planning and Research, Ms. Liza M. Gingging.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. With utmost respect to our school's division superintendent, Madam Josita B. Carmen, CESO 5, and our assistant schools division superintendent, Ma'am Jasmine R. Lacuna, to include our two chiefs, the Chief of Curriculum Implementation Division, Dr. Celsa A. Casa, and also the Chief of SGOD, or School Governance and Operations Division, Dr. Elvira Orbistondo, and our counterparts in the field, our public schools district supervisors, school heads, teachers, learners, and of course, our stakeholders. Welcome to this first virtual research forum. I'd like to explain first why we are conducting this research forum and why we conceptualized this. Being mandated by the Republic Act number 9155, otherwise known as the Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001, the Department of Education had already undertaken several researches that served as basis for necessary reform and development. In view of this, and to strengthen further the culture of research in the Schools Division of Surigao del Sur, the Planning and Research Unit is now conducting a regular research forum. This is to support policy interventions and information dissemination as regards to the best practices in teaching and learning, governance, human resource development, and cross-cut themes like gender and development and disaster risk management. Ladies and gentlemen, amid this pandemic, there is a need for us to be more creative in sharing valuable resources in the field and also to fine-tune and tailor out issues and concerns in a wider forum and avenue. This regular research program is aired live through DepEd Tayo Surigao del Sur Division Facebook page once every 2 months and 2 to 3 hours in a particular schedule. We are also inviting resource persons depending on the topic. And for their sharing, we will be using the Google Meet for inputs also, and others could also deliver their views and their insights. And with this, we are hoping that as we start this research forum, the more that we will develop interests in research and in finding solutions to problems encountered, especially at this time of pandemic. To inform you, the next schedule will be on October and December. And with this, we can also present best practices in research, in teaching and learning, and other themes. So we have all the opportunities today to grasp relevant sharing of information. So enjoy watching.
Thank you, Miss Liza, for the details. Moving forward to the next part, ladies and gentlemen, let us listen to the message of our Intelligent and Dynamic Schools Division Superintendent, Madam Josita B. Carmen, CESO 5.
I'd like to congratulate all those who are going to participate in this research forum, because that would mean that you are committed to the search for the truth. As you know, education is the pursuit of the truth, and you can only unravel the truth if you do data gathering, if you do analysis of the data, which are also important components of research. So once again, I'd also like to congratulate the organizers, our research and planning unit of our division, headed by our senior education specialist, Ms. Lisa Gingging. I'd like to zero in on our context, which is the pandemic COVID-19. We talk of this as something new, and so when it is something new, it is unexplored. So we can have an exploratory research. This is something very interesting and very exciting, because for the first time, we will be having an exploratory research very much connected with our present context. So let us be open-minded about this, especially the school heads and the master teachers, because this is an avenue for us to bring out issues and problems, our learning continuity plan. Through this forum, we'll be able to discover practices, learn new things, and unlearn those things which are not related, which will not help us in our work. And so I'd like to wish everyone happy discovery, happy learning, happy sharing of ideas, and always trying to make a difference in the lives of our learners through our innovative and creative endeavors, such as Research Forum. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to express my ideas and thoughts about this activity.
Thank you, SDS Carmen, for your inspiring message of support to the research endeavors of this division. The more that our teachers and school leaders will be encouraged to do research for innovation. This time, ladies and gentlemen, is an intermission number by the Liangan National Comprehensive High School Quartet.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come one.
There are people dying, and it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all.
We can go on pretending day by day that someone, somewhere will soon make a change. We're all a part of God's great big family,
And the truth, you know, love is all we need.
we are the world, we are the children, we are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our lives. It is true, we make a better day. Just you and me. Bells in your heart, so they know that someone cares, and our lives will be stronger and free.
As God has shown us by turning stone to bread, so we all must lend a helping hand.
We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It is true, we make a better day. Just you and me. When you're down and out, there seems no hope at all. But if you just believe, there's no way we can fall. Well, let us realize that a change can only come when we stand together as one. As one, we are the world, we are the children, we are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It is true, we make a better day. Just you and me. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It is true, we make a better day. Just you and me. Just you and me. We are the world, we are the children, the children, the children.
Thank you, teachers, for the talent you shared to us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been months that our schools are gearing up for the opening of classes. Along with this, monitoring also was done by the Curriculum Implementation Division to ensure schools' readiness. At this point, we shall hear the status report of the school's readiness by the Chief of the Curriculum Implementation Division, Dr. Celsa A. Casa.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Surigao del Sur. In preparation for the opening of school year 2020-2021, the school's division superintendent, Madam Josita B. Carmen, through the Curriculum Implementation Division, issued Division Memorandum 261 Series 2020, dated July 24, 2020, entitled Conduct of Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, Dry Run on the Implementation of the School's Preferred Learning Delivery Modalities. This directs all schools to prepare contextualized learning continuity plans to provide clear guidelines to all schools, learners, parents, partners, and stakeholders, continuous delivery of quality basic education services at this time of pandemic. After the preparation of these LCPs, the implementation of their preferred learning delivery modalities shall be tested through conduct of dry runs. The dry run activities aims to simulate the chosen LDMs or the learning delivery modalities of the learners and of the school in general. It will improve or enhance the implementation plans through technical assistance which will be provided by the division monitors. It will also disseminate and orient the schools on the learning delivery modalities, and it will assess also and adjust the readiness of the schools. 9 schools were identified to conduct the pilot testing of their chosen modalities. These schools are Caglayag Elementary School, Carumata Elementary School, Cagdapaw Elementary School, Cantilan East Central Elementary School, Tagbina National High School, Cantilan National High School, Hinatuan North Central Elementary School, Madrid Central Elementary School, and Lanuza Central Elementary School. While these 9 schools had their pilot testing, all other schools were also preparing for their scheduled dry run, since all of the schools were directed to have their dry run activities. Since there were schools which are ready already, they had their early dry run prior to the schedule, which is August 10 to 14. During the week-long dry run activities, education program supervisors monitored the conduct of the dry run activities, and we were able to consolidate some of the issues and concerns gathered by the monitors. These are the issues and concerns. Some parents did not return the modules on time or on the date scheduled. Some modules were not answered. Some parents reported to school without masks and did not observe social distancing. Some learners used the modules as their answer sheets. Nobody can act as learning resource in the household. Teachers were also having problems on seeing some of the parents who are residents at far-flung barangays. Budget for the printing of modules is not enough. The exemplar given to the grade 3 learners for Araling Panlipunan was Surigao noon, which was the only available PPE material uploaded by the LR. Parents and learners had a hard time translating the language into Sinugbuanong Binisaya. Still on grade 3 Araling Panlipunan, the symbols were not explained on the content. It was introduced immediately as an activity, thus creating difficulty on the part of the learner. MELCs, which were sub-task, made the lesson very long and have many activities to answer. An example was on Science 3. Learners experience difficulty in answering the activities. So many activities for each subject that they already are tired of answering the questions. Some of the instructions were not clear. Parents complained that they do not have time to assist their children due to work. Some learners will not listen to their parents because they are not their teachers. Grade 10 Contemporaryong Issue, PPE, did not follow the LR standards. Some parents are illiterates. Difficulty in giving assistance to pupils and parents due to signal connectivity issues, both SMS and internet. There are retrieved modules having some activities left unattended and unanswered. They failed to achieve the 100% retrieval of materials because some parents failed to receive the LR. The transportation expenses of teachers during the delivery and retrieval of LR to and from the designated drop-off points. Failure to observe the protocols in the drop-off points. Some do not have the knowledge to facilitate the learning at home. There were also occurrences of child abuse at home. Activities are too difficult to handle, especially in mathematics. The MTB materials cause difficulty among K-Stage 1 learners. Portfolio assessment is too difficult for K-Stage 1. Not all subjects are provided with learning materials. Some were not available to the link source. There were learning materials not returned as being scheduled for retrieval. There were activities in the learning materials which were not answered by learners. These were the common issues and concerns gathered by the EPS monitors, and these were given proposed resolutions after our meeting after day 5 of the monitoring. This will be also communicated to the districts after this will be approved by the superintendent. For the official reply or for the official answer of the queries of the issues and concerns gathered from the field during the dry run activities, the division also issued Division Memorandum 291 Series 2020, which is the clarifications on the alternative work arrangement of teachers and non-teaching personnel during the period August 24 to October 4, 2020. This includes the activities to be performed by the teachers and all school personnel while there is extension in the start of classes. On queries of teachers whether they shall be required to report in school every day, the following clarifications are hereby given as notice. 30% of the teacher population will work on-site and the others will be on work from home. Those with complete set of computers and printers can do the work from home. If none, they will report on-site at the district office, school head's office, where the printing of materials will happen. Teachers shall continue printing the unfinished PPE modules for the first 2 weeks and the ones corrected after errors were spotted. After printing of Week 1 and Week 2 PPE modules, these are to be accounted and packed in learners' individual kit per subject and per grade level. If printing, accounting, packing, and arranging of Week 1 and Week 2 PPE modules are done, they can start printing ADM modules to be used during Week 3 of classes and for the whole of Quarter 1. For Quarter 2, 3, and 4, DepEd CO will provide us complete sets of printed ADM modules. Teachers will then work on digitized learning materials under the guidance of the subject area APSS and district supervisors. This will supplement our modules and will deviate our learners' learning style instead of the usual modular grasp of the lessons. In cases where the head of office like the PSDSS will call for meetings where duty requires, school heads must report even if they are on work from home. Just like the teachers, when call of duty requires for them to be on site, they must heed to the call of their school head. This is to ensure readiness of the schools come October 5, 2020. We still have so many issues and concerns to be addressed before October 5. But rest assured that as the weeks will go on, we are working more on the provision of learners' materials, complete sets of modules, digitized materials, and all other means in order to complete our readiness for school year 2020-2021.
Thank you, Chief Casa, for giving us those details. Schools still have time to cope. Friends, one of the highlights of today's forum is the series of presentations of the Learning Continuity Plan pilot test by the select 5 schools that represent the different levels. We have from the senior high school by Cantilan National High School, Cantilan 1 District, cared of Dr. Evangeline A. Caratao, Principal 2. Central Elementary School by Tagbina Central Elementary School, Tagbina 1 District, cared of Beatriz V. Campion, Principal 1. Multi-grade School by Sinai Elementary School, Barabo 2 District, cared of Loreto A. Abellanida, TIC. Junior High School by Union National High School, Madrid 1 District, cared of Maurice Gay A. Tahonera, Head Teacher 3. And Integrated School by Maglambing Integrated School, Tagbina 2 District, cared of Maria Liza T. Bandola, Head Teacher 3.
Based on the data gathered from the LESF, we have identified the learning modality that is appropriate for our learners. We crafted the School's Learning Continuity Plan or LCP. After the crafting of our LCP, we decided to have a dry run or pilot testing of our LCP to know what are the issues, concerns, and challenges that need to be addressed before the opening of classes on October 5, 2020. It really helped us a lot in revisiting our LCP. We formulated solutions to the issues and concerns identified through fishbone method.
Cantilan National High School is offering senior high school TBL with major in electrical installation and maintenance, cookery, food and beverage services, and bread and pastry. In the new normal, enrollment data gathered through LESF showed that 56% of the TVL students would go for the modular distance learning. To ensure the quality of education for all, including the marginalized students, Cantilan National High School crafted the Learning Continuity Plan for Senior High School TVL. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring to you its pilot testing. The self-learning modules or SLMs were prepared to support the modular distance learning modality chosen by the TVL students. The teachers developed the SLMs by subject area and submitted to the subject coordinators and master teachers for quality assurance. LRs were checked, revised, and finalized. The quality assured LRs were printed and digitalized. The printed LRs were reproduced, sorted, stapled, and packed, while the digitalized LRs were saved on the OTG flash drive ready for distribution. Get everyone informed. Letters were sent to the barangay captains. Parents and guardians were informed through radio and social media announcements. After that, everyone was oriented. The Learning Continuity Plan was presented to internal stakeholders like parents and teachers, and to the external stakeholders like LGU Cantilan and Barangay Development Council. Upon the information dissemination, the distribution and retrieval team now geared for the distribution of the learning resources by barangay. The team accorded the courtesy call to the barangay officials. They also reminded the parents of the guidelines in the distribution and retrieval of the LRs or SLMs. LRs were distributed to each and every parent in batches. The parents or guardians, on the other hand, signed a tracker to confirm receipt of LRs. Parents distributed the LRs to their children. Learners who received printed learning materials performed tasks as written. While learners who received the OTG flash drive watched the self-paced instructional video, then answered the worksheet. For questions, clarifications, or affirmation, learners contacted teachers via text, FB messaging, or phone call. Parents returned the answered LRs to the distribution and retrieval team. The parents or guardians signed a tracker to confirm the return of LRs. The retrieved LRs were sorted by grade level, categorized by subject, and delivered to the concerned subject teachers. For authenticity of feedback, teachers interview the involved partners, parents, and students about the printed and digitalized learning resources.
Ako si John Kenneth Ganancias, nagtunga sa Cantila National High School, nagkuha ng star ng TBLIM. Salamat karadaw sa taghatag sa OTG Plus Drive. Diri kami nag-amo na learn, sa diri kami nagkuha ng answer.
Nakita na ko nagtuon ko sa mga bata. Ako una monitor. Ampan maapil sa vlog ako.
Senior high school teachers conducted a deliberation with the focal persons about the conduct of the LCP pilot testing. Issues and gaps were identified and solved. Suggested solutions were incorporated to improve the LCP. LCP was duly revised. Implementation of the revised LCP is underway. National High School's Learning Continuity Plan for Senior High School TBL all came to fruition because of our cohesive partnership with our community leaders, especially from Congressman Prospero Butch A. Pichay and Lady Mayor Maria Carla L. Pichay.
I would like to express my 100% support to the Department of Education in bridging the gap between what we are used to in terms of learning and in education and what we ought to do so that we would be able to adapt in these trying times.
Definitely, we are going to have in Surigao this all we want it to be a model. You know, my mother was a superintendent of school,
Yes.
and one of my priority advocacy is education. So
Thank you.
whatever the province needs, we will try to provide.
Dry run means practice, and practice makes perfect. Being perfect seems impossible to happen. So, we, the Cantila National High School Group, target for an almost perfect plan. Aber kung ka-40,000 kami mag-practice or mag-dry run, just to ensure that all are set and truly ready comes October 5.
We identify solutions on the challenges met in the dry run of our LCP. We are positive and determined that we can implement the modular distance learning, blended with the use of technology and the different online platforms, as we call it, as flexible learning, to make the new normal in education more engaging and enjoyable, with hope, determination, and compassion for the school children. As our hashtags, hashtag para sa bata, para sa bayan, hashtag creative Cantilangans, mabuhay tayong lahat.
Cantilan National High School believes that education must continue despite the pandemic. From the institution that nurtures the culture of excellence, this is Cantilan High, Soaring High.
allow the traditional face-to-face teaching or learning unless the risk of exposure to the sickness are eliminated. I cannot and will not put to rest the health and lives of our students and teachers.
COVID-19 affects all aspects of life, especially education. This leads the Department of Education to offer alternative learning methods despite this pandemic. Believing in the school banner project BLESS, or Better Life Through Education, in a smart school tagline, Kaysa pag-eskwela, mabulahan ka, Tagbina Central Elementary School of Tagbina District 1 shall continue its delivery to ensure learning continuity. TCES has a current enrollment of over 1,000 pupils and has 34 strong teaching staff. Based on a learner enrollment survey, majority of the parents preferred modular distance learning modality. Thus, to meet this choice, TCES will offer this modality. Prior to modular distance learning modality, or MDLM, pilot testing and dry run, series of key stages were undertaken. In the pre-implementation stage, thorough planning and preparation have been conducted. While the community quarantine was raised in the province, the Division of Surigao del Sur initiated portfolio-predicated exemplars that the teachers crafted. These PPEs were quality assured prior to its submission. These were uploaded to the Division Learning Resources portal and were downloaded by the teachers. Teachers' meeting was held to set schedule of activities, assigning of committees for every task, asking permission from a local chief executive to conduct parents' orientation. To inform the parents, Purok leaders were tapped through the barangay captain. Local FM radio was also utilized for wider and fast information distribution. During the orientation, Mrs. Beatriz Campion, the principal, and Dr. Wilma Primarion, school district supervisor, explained to the parents the distance learning delivery modality that the school is offering. Puroks were also grouped into hubs to ensure the smooth flow of the implementation following the IATF health protocols. After the orientation, teachers started downloading and printing the self-learning modules and PPEs from the Division Learning Resources portals. These modules were printed and sorted according to grade levels and subjects. While there were teams assigned for printing and sorting of modules, others set up the entire school premise to ensure a hassle-free traffic flow. Signages for health protocols, Purok hubs, schedules, as well as the list of pupils were posted accordingly. IT experts also created a video on how to facilitate modular learning, which includes the steps on releasing and returning of modules following the IATF health protocols. In its implementation stage, a dry run began on the 7th of August where the teachers released the modules. The parents of Purok Hubs 1 to 4 use Entrance 1, while the parents of Purok Hubs 5 to 8 use Entrance 2. They stepped on a footmat, washed their hands, and had their temperature checked at the thermal scanning table. They proceeded to the waiting room entrance where they were given sequence number. While waiting for their turn, parents watched videos on the television about modular distance learning, health protocols, and steps in claiming and returning of modules. Apart from the video, an hourly reminder of health protocols was also given using a public address. When the teacher raised the next sign, the parents entered the hub, showed the card slip to the releasing in charge, and signed in the logbook, then will be handed an envelope containing the modules. As soon as they received the modules, they went out from the hub and went directly to the designated exit gates. On Monday of the next week, the pupils started studying their modules following the schedule given to them. Mr. Clevin Lusada from the division office, Dr. Primarion and Mrs. Campion observed and monitored how parents help their children. As part of the monitoring, teachers will contact parents through phone calls, messenger, and home visitation to check proper implementation of the learning modality. Respectively, retrieval and releasing of modules from the previous and upcoming weeks will be held every Friday. During the retrieval, the same steps were practiced. However, modules from the parents were disinfected at the table right at the entrance. As part of the post-implementation stage, a debriefing was conducted to the parents of the observed pupils and to the teachers. They expressed good points and things that needs improvement about the processes, materials, and the challenges they faced. According to a parent,
sa kining modular para sa ako okay ra kayo jud kay ang bata pod makapokus pud sila og kuan study nga sila ra wala sila ka chika-chika para sa ako okay ra jud kay ang mga bata maka cut-on jud sa ako ra pasagdahan unya ako ra siya taga ang dictionary cellphone mag-open siya tapos kung di na niya makaya usa pa kay mo assess na di na din niya ni makaya.
On behalf of the teachers, Mrs. Campion consolidated these feedback.
Modular distance learning modality is the alternative way for learning continuity. It is flexible, learner-centered, accessible, and cost-efficient. However, challenges were also faced like availability of reproduction machines and bond paper, completeness of quality-assured SLMs and PPS, teachers and parent support, and capacity among others. To facilitate the smooth transition and implementation of this new normal education, Tagbina Central Elementary School must work in the spirit of synergy among its stakeholders. Rest assured, we are one with DepEd that learning must continue even during this trying
These feedback were addressed promptly by the teachers. The pre-test and post-test results will be computed to evaluate the learnings of the pupils using the modules. DepEd ensures no child is left behind. This pandemic may be an obstacle, but shall not be a hindrance for an education.
We heal as one, we learn as one. We heal as one, we learn as one.
Good day, everyone. So, I am Lorito Avellaneda, the TIC of Sinay Elementary School. So, today is the School Learning Continuity Dry Run. Sinay Elementary School is also one of the MG School, a multi-grade schools of Barubuto. Then Sinay Elementary School is located in Tambis, Barobo, Surigao del Sur, of which this is the fourth schools in this barangay. The farthest school in this barangay is Sinay Elementary School.
Sinai Elementary School is a multi-grade school situated in a far-flung area of which majority of the community are farmers. In the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, it is important that the community will be protected and takes action to prevent massive transmission and help reduce the outbreak of COVID-19. The school is now preparing for some precautionary and preventive measures for the opening of classes this coming October 5, 2020. The prime concern of the school is the safety and welfare of the learners and the stakeholders as well. Moreover, the school adheres to the health standard protocol set by the LGU and the IATF. Sinai Elementary School has 3 teachers, namely Gladys E. Mapalad, handling kindergarten to grade 2, Catherine C. Ninyal for grades 3 and 4, and Arnold B. Swan for grades 5 and 6. The school consists of 2 buildings composed of 3 classrooms. Based on the consolidated data during the conduct of online and remote enrollment through the Learners Enrollment Survey Form, or LESF, a total of 57 learners enrolled in our school whose chosen learning delivery modality is modular learning.
The procedure of conducting the SLCP dry run, so we need to observe the health protocol. So that is why the school observed and prepared the precautionary measure, just like no face mask, no entry. So all the guidelines of the DOH and the IATF, it should be strictly followed. So, in behalf of Sinai Elementary School, so nagpasalamat mi. We are very thankful for the opportunity that we are chosen as a representative of Surigao del Sur Division in multi-grade school. So, thank you and good day.
Isa-isa, kaya mo say gusto ni Sir amoy kanaan nga ni total gamay da sa itab ka mo. Isa, pagkahuman isa, kuhaon mayo ang para sa bata na modules. Kung aroy pangutana mayo, pwede sa kamo kaduol sa maestra. Pero diri isab kamo moduol sa diri ngadtugid sa kita kamo sa pagsod aroy ngadto cubicle. Itong aroy pinlastic ngadto kamo makigistorya sa maestra. Diri mayo duolo ng maestra.
Grade School of Barago District 2 conducted the dry run so that the parents of Sinai community will know the process, the mechanisms of the distributions and retrieval of modules, and even the rules, the functions of the parents in delivering the learning of their respective learners at home. This new normal delivery of learning, the parents will be the one, we are the learning facilitators at home. With the effort of the teachers and the parents, hopefully this learning modality will be successful, and the delivery of learning instruction will go on in the new normal situation.
Ang Barangay Local Government Unit of Tambis ani willing mo support sa tanan yung buhaton sa DepEd. Ilabi na karon nga panahon sa pandemya. Din doon ay health protocol nga gipahidayon ang ato ang Department of Education. As also chairperson sa ato ang edukasyon dinhi sa Barangay Tambis, ako ang ipaabot sa eskwelahan sa Sinai Elementary School nga adunay gihimo nga lakang o hakbang ang ato ang sangguniang barangay council pinanguluhan sa tupunan barangay Honorable Francisca Aluzar nga o ayuda ang barangay pinaagi sa SP Fund, pinaagi sa kang SP Chairperson Leia Verdedaso na matag eskwelahan adunay reams of bond papers. So para sa Sinai adunay kami ihatag na napulo ka ring sa bond paper A4 size para sa ilahang mga papers paperworks. Pohon, mga sunod siguro regular session, ma-dispose na sa ato ang state chairperson nga si Miss Leia, Honorable Leia Verdedaso. So karon, ako ang pagpasalamat sa hakbang sa ato ang DepEd, labi na sa Sinai Elementary School, pinanguluhan sa ato ang school head nga si Sir Lorito Abellanida, din iyag yung ipatuman ang maong health protocol sa labi na gikan sa national, sa DepEd, sa IATF. So, mapasalamatun kami in behalf sa amuang Sangguniang Barangay Council of Tambis. Ug dako, labi na ngadto sa ato ang mahagahom na Dios diin hangtod karon nakasurvive ang ato ang barangay ug ang katawhan nga wala gayoy virus nga nakasulod ninyo ba. So ato ang always nga iampo nga dili kay kita masudlan aron gayud nga magpadayon ang ibuhaton sa tanan matag usa aron makasurvive niining panahon na sa crisis.
Marubdob na pagbati mula sa mataas na paaralan ng Unyon. Ang mataas na paaralan ng Unyon ay bukas para sa mga estudyante na nais mag-aral mula sa ikapitong baitang hanggang 10 at sa mga estudyanteng nais mag-enroll sa senior high school TVL Dressmaking, Tailoring. Ang kabuuang enrollment ng paaralan ay 162. 3 non-teaching at 11 teaching personnel ang bumubuo sa faculty and staff ng paaralan.
Per LESF result, our learners have chosen
the modular approach as their preferred modality. Although some of them have chosen the blended, but we adhere to the government's mandate on no to face-to-face contact with the learners. And we explain to them that their health is our utmost priority. That led us to the crafting of LCT, which is tailored to the needs of our community. We met the stakeholders for info dissemination. Our school is deeply committed to serving the learners amidst this pandemic. Our commitment and passion about education will never stop. Instead, we find ways to be of service to our learners, to become functional and productive in these trying times. Sa Union High, andam kanunay.
Ang napiling learning modality ng aming mga estudyante ay modular distance learning. Sa ilalim nito, maaaring matuto ang mga mag-aaral sa pamamagitan ng self-learning modules na naglalaman ng leksyon at gawain sa iba't ibang asignatura. Dahil modular distance learning ang paraang gagamitin ng eskwelahan, inihanda ng mga guro ang mga module na gagamitin ng mga estudyante. At matapos ang pagsasagawa ng meeting kasama ang mga stakeholders, ito ang napagkasunduan ng mga magulang at ng administrasyon ng paaralan na proseso sa pamamahagi at pagsasauli ng mga module. Ang pamamahagi ng mga module at libro ay mangyayari tuwing Lunes. Tuwing Biyernes naman ang pagsasauli sa mga sumusunod na itinakdang oras. Ang pamamahagi rin ng module ay mangyayari sa mga silid-aralan ng bawat baitang. Kapag hindi nakapunta ang magulang sa itinakdang oras para sa pamamahagi at pagsasauli ng module matapos itong kontakin, ay ihahatid ng tagapayo ang module sa tahanan ng mag-aaral. Ito ay hakbang upang masiguro na ang lahat ng estudyante ay tuloy-tuloy ang pagkatuto. Sa pagpasok sa paaralan, kailangan magsuot ng face mask at maglinis ng mga paa sa foot bath. Pagkatapos, kailangang magpa-check ng body temperature. At mag-sanitize ng mga kamay gamit ang alcohol bago isulat ang pangalan sa talaan ng mga bisita. Ito ay mahalagang gawin upang masigurong ligtas ang bawat isa na papasok sa paaralan. Pagkatapos mag-sanitize, maaari nang pumila. Kailangang tumayo sa marka sa sahig upang masiguro na ang distansya ng bawat isa ay 1 metro. Kung pagkakataon na ng magulang, tatanggapin niya ang mga module at mga libro na ipamamahagi ng mga guro. Matapos tanggapin ang mga module at libro, maaari nang lisanin ng magulang ang silid sa exit hanggang sa labas ng eskwelahan. Maaaring gabayan ng magulang o kamag-anak ang mag-aaral sa pag-intindi ng mga aralin at sa pagsagot sa mga gawain. Maaaring tawagan o i-text ang mga subject teachers kung may katanungan tungkol sa mga aralin. Ang pag-aaral at pagsagot sa mga module ay hanggang araw ng Huwebes lamang. Pagsapit ng Biyernes, isasauli ng magulang ang mga module kasama ang mga sagutang papel ng mag-aaral sa parehong oras na itinakda sa pamamahagi ng mga module. Ito ay upang magkaroon ng sapat na panahon ang mga guro sa pagwawasto at pagre-record. Matapos na maipamahagi at maisauli ang mga module, nagsagawa ng meeting ang mga guro at hiningi rin ang opinyon ng mga magulang at mag-aaral upang mas mapabuti ang sistema sa pamamahagi at pagsasauli ng mga module.
The teachers, the parents have followed the protocol from the gate, from the classroom, module, and book distribution. what is the problem here is we lack the materials, specifically the books.
Yes, sir.
So to address the problem, we'll contact the division office if there are books to be given next week to every school so that this gap will be addressed para mahatag na tanan ang 1:1 ratio sa mga bata.
Sa pagharap sa bagong normal, kasali ang buong komunidad sa bayanihan.
As the mother of the district, I see to it that all the schools under my care are always on the track. Constant communication and supervision as to how the LCP is cascaded to the field and the school's readiness are always at the top to ensure smooth opening of classes. The new normal will not change our zeal and enthusiasm in carrying out the department's vision and mission. We are motivated Madridanos.
Ang PTE sa Union National High School andam sa tanang panahon sa paghatag ng suporta sa eskwelahan para ipadadon ang klase karong tuig. Dili kami magduha-duha mohatag sa bisan unsa nga suporta para sa eskwelahan.
Kami mga lokal na opisyal sa Barangay Union, 100% ang pagsuporta sa ato eskwelahan. Nasabta namo ang tumong o tinguha sa mga dipid, busa ihatag namo ang tanan na makaya namo para ipadadon ang eskwela sa kuman na panahon na gitawag na new normal. Kami nagpasalig sa iso na iso kami kaiban sa maong lakaw para sa ato mga kabataan. Padadon sa Pagpalambo Union High School. Salamat.
Magsangguni ang kabataan sa Barangay Union, andam kanunay sa paghatag sa among suporta sa eskwelahan sa pamaagi na kaya namo. Andam kami sa among oras o panahon kung kinahanglan para mapadazon ang eskwela sa mga kabataan. Sa Union High, okay kayo! Always suportado!
Ang ato eskwelahan, mamagtutudlo o panguluhan. Nagpabilin nga madasigon sa pagatimal sa among mga bata sa kumanang panahon. Kami isad magpasalig sa among suporta sa bagong pamaagi sa paghatag og edukasyon. Go, go, go! Union High!
Sa patuloy na pakikipag-ugnayan ng paaralan sa iba pang stakeholders, patuloy na nakalilikom ang paaralan ng pondo para sa pagpipirenta ng mga module at sa iba pang pangangailangan. Sinisikap ng mataas na paaralan ng Union na pagtibayin ang bayanihan sa komunidad upang hindi maudlot ang pag-aaral ng mga kabataang Pinoy.
Pasalamaton kami na ang among oras ko man ng mga panahon dili masayang kay padadon gihapon kami sa pag-eskwela pinaagi sa bag-o na approach ng regular. Biskan kung waya kami sa classroom, padadon gihapon kami sa pag-abot sa among pangandoy pinaagi sa pag-eskwela biskan kung sa ay pandemya.
In Union National High School, we continue to serve despite this pandemic situation because we believe education is premium and it must continue in any means at all times. Sa Union High, tuloy-tuloy ang edukasyon.
Tuloy-tuloy ang pag-aaral ng mga batang Pilipino. Tuloy ang edukasyon sa mataas na paaralan ng Union.
As the coronavirus disease, the Department of Education initiated an alternative learning modality to continuously deliver quality education for the school year 2020-2021. Thus, Maglambing Integrated School ensures that education will be accessible to all amidst the pandemic. Based on the Learner Enrollment Survey form result conducted by the teachers, it appears that the most appropriate alternative learning modality for MIS learners is printed modular distance learning modality. This learning modality follows the following mechanism: preparation stage, production stage, distribution stage, observation stage, collection stage, and evaluation stage. Preparation stage, preparing and accomplishing of LESF. Teachers in all grade levels prepared and accomplished LES forms by calling learners' guardians and by conducting house-to-house enrollment. Planning of teachers on LESF result. Based on the result of the survey, the faculty and staff of Maglambing Integrated School convened to carry out initial plans bent for the new normal opening of classes. These plans were then presented to the stakeholders, school governing council, and PTA officials for the process of distance learning modality. Orientations to the stakeholders and parents were conducted following the time frame set by the school to limit the participants following the health protocols and standards. The highlights of the orientation are the learning continuity plan, processes of the distribution and retrieval of modules, and the vision memorandum on the zonal enrollment to limit the movement of the teachers and students. Physical preparation of the school. Maglambing Integrated School faculty and staff prepared the school vicinity and the classrooms for the dry run activity. Production stage. Downloading of modules in different subjects in all grade levels. Teachers downloaded modules from their EHRIS accounts. Printing of downloaded modules. Sorting of reproduced modules. Distribution stage. Sorted modules were then distributed to the respective advisors for the dry run activity. Respondents of the dry run activity received modules from the classrooms. Signing of monitoring forms was done to track the release of modules. Observation stage. Random home visitations were conducted by the teachers to monitor learners' progress in answering the modules. Phone communication was used to cater the inquiries of the learners regarding the modules. Collection stage. Answered modules were then returned a week after the distribution. Signing of monitoring forms was done to track the received modules. Evaluation stage. Returned modules were checked by the subject teachers to evaluate and gauge learners' learning abilities. To ensure the smooth and correct flow of the dry run activity ready in the actual opening of classes, personnel from the division and district offices monitored the said activity, wherein technical assistance was provided. Faculty and staff of the school also made necessary arrangements, such as asking the assistance of the stakeholders in controlling the respondents in school, guided by the following health protocols: no face mask, no entry. Wash hands before entering the school vicinity. Wear visitor's ID upon entering the school. Practice social distancing at all times. Follow the guides in the classroom level.
Amidst this new normal situation due to pandemic, the Department of Education aims to continue its vision despite the unexpected shift of learning modality, from face-to-face classes to alternative learning delivery modes. Regarding the issues and concerns along the dry run activity, we have found out that some parents could not guide their children well, especially in giving instructions. As a form of solution, the school has emphasized the purpose of the teachers' contact numbers provided in the class program. Teachers, in the other hand, are ready to entertain learners' queries regarding their subjects on specific time period. Other concern along the dry run activity was on the printing of modules, where we encounter machine failures during the reproduction. As solution, we tap private entities to aid our printing concerns. Lapses are inevitable and Maglambing Integrated School is ready to fill in the gaps. As a whole, Maglambing Integrated School, together with the school partnership with stakeholders, the local government unit, the barangay local government unit, the Sangguniang Kabataan officials, the Alumni Association, the General Parents Teachers Association, the School Governing Council, the Main in Uniform, and the Special Action Force Tagungun, and from the cooperation of the parents, Maglambing Integrated School will continue to serve its best despite COVID-19.
Thank you, our dear schools, for showing your own context of the learning delivery. This time, ladies and gentlemen, we will give a very relevant discussion on how school heads manage their schools amid this pandemic time. It is very important that they will have also a shift of mind on the new normal situations that they will be facing during the opening of classes. For this, we invited a resource speaker. He graduated his master's degree of Education Administration at St. Teresa College of Tandad, his PhD in Management at St. Joseph Institute of Technology. He is also an accredited national facilitator of NAIAP, also a lead facilitator of Regional NAIAP, and Principal 4 of Carrascal National High School. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Dr. Fluelid L. Cos to discuss on the school head's mindset in the new normal.
A pleasant morning, everybody. A pleasant morning to the Division Superintendent, Ma'am Josita Carmen, and good morning to Ma'am Lisa Gingging. Thank you for allowing me to talk to the different school heads and the different viewers of today's research forum. I'd like to understand that this is a very important gathering because we are going to discuss things which could allow us to help ourselves in the development of the young, specifically in how to become a good leader and a good manager in times of the pandemic. So today, I'm tasked to present to you how to give a proper mindset of the school heads in the new normal. So that is going to be my topic for today, school heads mindset in the new normal. I'm Dr. Floylin Cos. I'm the Principal 4 of Carrascal National High School, for those who do not know me. And I'm happy to be with you this morning. So I'd like to start my discussion on the concept of this one. When the pandemic started, it seems that time stood still. For many, when the pandemic hit, their lives altered drastically, almost overnight. With such drastic and unexpected change happens, it's difficult not to feel a sense of loss and sadness, especially if much anticipated events of the students like class opening, intramurals, and other significant school-related events was curtailed. That is the time when a lot of things happened in the field, and we were not able to be prepared for such thing to take place. And we know that there is an effect to the psychological mindset of the students and even to the parents and to the school heads as well. That is the reason why we need to be steadfast in understanding our rules, and the continuum, the learning continuum must happen. We also have to understand that we need to have a proper mindset in these times. According to the American psychologist Carol Dweck and author of Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, there are two main mindsets which we navigate in life, and that is what we call as the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. In a fixed mindset, people believe that intelligence and talents are fixed traits that cannot change. Thus, they document their intelligence and talent rather than develop and improve them. They believe that talent alone leads to success and effort isn't required. Although this could be considered as a theory which could be applicable, but it would lead to a fallacy, or it would lead to become a fallacy because mind setting should be dynamic. That's the reason why we don't resort to a fixed mindset, but we welcome the growth mindset. Because this particular mindset believes that intelligence and talent can grow with time, experience, and effort. When people believe their intelligence and talents can be cultivated in order to succeed, they put in extra time, leading to greater achievement. This is one of the things which I'd like you to consider, specifically for those school heads who are tuning in right now. We need to understand that our mindset should be dynamic even in trying times like this. You know, the tasks given to us could be considered as big or gargantuan, but we need not to stop thinking and being dynamic. There are instances that anxiety and even fear could envelope us, especially with this deadly virus. But then again, we as educators would continue to plan, we would continue to implement, and we would continue to do tasks which would allow education to happen. That is the reason why a plan, specifically a learning continuity plan, must be in place, because we understand that if there is no learning continuity, there is a learning gap which will happen among the children, among the learners. And this learning gap is very, very tantamount to distraction. Why? Because we understand that the learners that we are dealing with are the future leaders. They will become the future legislators. They will become the future managers of our place. That's the reason why of our country. That's the reason why learning must continue. And even with fear, even with uh, anxiety, and even with things which could not be controlled by us, we need to put an extra effort or an extra mile, leading to greater achievement, specifically in our line of work. And we understand that the growth mindset must be practiced by us, because we believe that intelligence and talents could be cultivated in order to succeed. So therefore, even in virtual conferences just like this, we need to continue to cultivate our capacities. We need to continuously cultivate our intelligence for us to be able to proceed towards a certain direction, which could allow us to be successful in what we are doing. Uh, Having a growth mindset is essential for success, especially now, as we've all had to dive headfirst into navigating a new world. As Dweck describes flawlessly, the passion for stretching yourself and sticking to it, even or especially when it's not going well, is the hallmark of the growth mindset. This is the mindset that allows people to thrive during some of the most challenging times in their lives. So, as this particular theory by Dweck, we need to continuously stretch ourselves. We understand that we are resilient as as Filipinos. We are known to be resilient, and we need to understand how to stretch our limits, how to understand that we could still do more despite the threats of the virus. And we need to stick to it. We need to continuously push ourselves towards the direction of the mission and the vision of our department. That's the reason why, even with these challenging times, even with the pandemic, we need to consider that our roles as school heads or as academic managers and academic leaders must not stop. We need to continuously push ourselves towards a good direction, because we understand that this particular mindset would allow us to be successful. Okay, having a growth mindset when navigating our new normal involves, amongst other qualities, understanding that taking appropriate risks sometimes leads to failure. It's how you define and bounce back from the failure that counts. This involves embracing challenges, learning from criticism, persisting in the face of setbacks, seeing effort as the path to mastery, and finding lessons and inspiration in the success of others. So, as we continuously face our daily activities as school heads or as leaders in the school, we need to allow ourselves to be dynamic in embracing the growth mindset when we navigate the new normal, because we could see that others are also bouncing back, and they are embracing the challenges. They are learning from the things which are happening in their surrounding, and even from the mistakes that they've encountered along the way. They are persisting in the face of setbacks. and they are trying to be successful. And although we are afraid, and although we are so much concerned about our families and even our own health rather, we need to continually evolve. We need to continually embrace dynamic movements towards the greater good. When we say the greater good, we are looking into the development or the progress of the academic community, specifically the learners and even the teachers and the community. We understand that we as educators are building the nation. We are building the future through the learners. That is the reason why we need to seek inspiration from others as well. We need to consider the work, the efforts of other school heads, of other educators, as we see them thrive even during the pandemic. So in the new normal, there is a tendency that we tend to be we tend to dwell on the negative. We tend to dwell on fear, but we could also thrive in positivity. We could also grow in times of this anxiety and these times of what we call as times of darkness, because nobody was prepared when the pandemic hit us. So therefore, we need to continually embrace the growth mindset because this would allow us to become better versions of ourselves. There is no guidebook for school leaders as they make decisions and try to move forward during the pandemic. With more than 5.55 million children out of school right now, the uncertainty is a challenge for school leaders who are often used to orderliness and control. When the pandemic hit the Philippines or even the world, we were not prepared. We were caught unawares, and we were not prepared. No, it was not inside our minds that something like this would happen. So that was the reason why orderliness and control went berserk. We were not able to control what would happen to the school system. That is the reason why, since there is no guidebook, there's no specific fit for or a template for school heads to make decisions in uncertain times. We just have to be strong, and we just have to understand that we still could thrive even if with these uncertain times. No, we still could adapt. We still could give mitigating factors for us to be able to continually serve and to realize the mission of our department. Now, every school and every school district has a learning continuity plan, but a crisis of this magnitude has been unimaginable. Academic leaders must be proactive enough to deal with the situation at hand. So, as I was saying a while ago, there is really a need for the academic leaders, specifically the school heads, to be proactive. You know, being proactive is not just waiting for something from the top, not just waiting for uh, manna from heaven. We need to understand that we could do our job properly by looking into our communities, understanding the demographic profile of the communities that we are into, and we could look for plans and for better things that we could do in order for the community, the learning community of us, to continuously proceed towards a good direction. That's the reason why the situation at hand, the pandemic or the virus threatening the school ecosystem is already a given. It is already there. So we could not just sit and do nothing. We need to continuously bounce back, and we need to think about ideas, we need to think about plans, and we need to do things which could allow us to move forward. That's the reason why that the learning continuity plan is a necessity for us to be able to continuously thrive even in this particular pandemic. Now, I'd like you to have these takeaways. So as we continue with the discussion, there are frameworks that we need to revisit to get on top of the work. Example, the most essential learning competencies must be well thought of among teachers as they design worksheets and remote learning modules. The plans and other frameworks must be in step with the present needs. So, since the Department of Education created or designed the MELC, or the most essential learning competencies, we as school heads must also understand the importance of these competencies so that we would be able to communicate them to the teachers for them to be able to design authentic worksheets and remote learning modules. I was talking about proactivity, although our division is designing PPEs or portfolio-based modules. We need to understand that we could also create our own worksheets, our own modular things based from the MELCs. These things would allow us to become cost efficient. These things would allow us to become more effective in our delivery modalities because we understand the demographic profiles of our ecology, of our ecosystem. We understand that different schools have different demographic profiles, and it entails a lot of revisitation to the frameworks, to the plans, and etc. So I'd like to encourage the school heads, specifically those who are tuning in right now, that the frameworks and the things that we need to understand must be revisited. The plans, the LCPs, and even the technical assistance plans must be considered properly. The supervisory plans and all the frameworks that we need to understand revisiting should be considered as well. And the most important plan which we should revisit could be the SIP, or the school improvement plan, because we understand that this is going to be the heart or the soul of the school. So all the things that we are planning, all the things that we are preparing in times of the pandemic should be placed in our school improvement plan. So there is a need for us to revisit the SIP, for us to be able to understand better how to adjust to the new normal. Aside from the revisitation of the frameworks, we need to forego top-down decision making. Make sure key players are involved in the planning process. The teaching and non-teaching personnel must be involved in the different plans. The stakeholders must also be communicated with the stringent actions to be done. If it's an inclusive process done with principals, they are far more likely to model that same behavior in problem solving with their teachers. So meaning, when we are going to revisit, when we're going to perform planning, when we're going to do things for the benefit of the academic community, we need to understand the inclusiveness or the inclusion of the people in the system. The teachers must be included in the decision making. The internal and the external stakeholders must also be allowed to put a stake on the decision of the things that we do in this new normal. An example to that is when we are going to plan for the modalities, when the new learning modalities are in place, when we do the decision tree process, we could allow the barangay local government units, we could allow the PTAs or the Parents Teachers Association, we could allow the business sector to sit in with us and to plan and to make decisions become better. Because with these people, we understand that our roles, our tasks would become lighter, specifically with the help of the people around the community. It's already a cliche when we say that it takes a village to educate a child, but it's really true. It's really a need for us to be able to realize that this is really a reality, that it takes a village to educate a child. So therefore, we need to understand that foregoing top-down decision is a necessity. So we would allow the stakeholders to be involved so that uh, the bigger picture would really happen. No, the bigger picture would really become a reality. So we are encouraging people from the outside to be with us. But then again, as CEO, as mandated by RA 9155, it is the school head who would man. It is the school head who would be the chief executive officer of the school. So therefore, the decisions, although you are picking suggestions and some good decisions from others, you need to understand, you need to be in control because you are the steerer of your ship. You are the driver of your bus. So you need not to digress towards a certain direction, but towards the department's mission and vision. So that is really one of the stringent points that we need to understand. We need to invite these people to be with us, but the leader, the school head, must understand the direction of the school. Aside from that, we also have to focus on professional development. How do we help teachers build capacity? So we build on what they've already had to learn in this new phase of virtual learning, of this new normal, but also we consider how to increase their capacity on the first day back. So since the first day of school is already transferred to October 5 instead of August 24, we have ample time for the teachers to be capacitated. You know, aside from us, we are caught unawares of what is happening because there is something new in the modalities that we are presenting. The teachers are also trying to adjust towards this new normal. That's the reason why school heads must also understand how to build the confidence, how to build the capacity of the teachers in order for them to be able to face the new realities. So we still have time to allow them to look into the contextualization of the modules, since others are complaining about the bulkiness of the module. We could look into it. We could say that our modules, the developers of the modules, were very good in going deeper into the discussions, but the teachers could also be trained how to contextualize, how to slim down, how to trim down these modules without sacrificing the key concepts in the learning process. So we could allow them to be trained. We could allow resource persons, we could invite resource persons to be with us in order to build capacities. There are some of the teachers who are also prone to commit mistakes since they are not literate in ICT or in computer programming and many things more. So that's one of the things that we could consider. We could build their capacities in designing digitized classes to deepen the modular delivery. We could also allow them to understand how to do radio-based instruction or TV-based instruction for us to be able to look more considerations of the different modalities. That's the reason why we could focus on professional development in this new normal for us to be able to have more strength in our workforce. So that's the reason why we could say that focusing on professional development is also a good takeaway for the discourse that we are having right now. Okay. Aside from that, we need to build networks, collaborate, share best practices. If you are not already connected to other districts or other schools, then now is a great time to develop that network, because what happens at the regional or national level might vary tremendously it behooves superintendents and principals to collaborate and share best practices across the district and beyond. So we need to build networks. We are one DepEd, so other regions, other schools, other school heads, other teachers could share best practices. I always believe that sharing best practices, sharing tools, sharing self-made modules, and many things more could help the bigger DepEd community. This is not the time to be selfish. This is not the time to be self-centered. Once we find some educational tools, some materials which could help boost the learning of our students or learning of our pupils, we could share them to other teachers. We could allow them to benchmark also best practices of our schools for the entirety of the DepEd to have these particular things, no? So that the learners would understand that we are really working, we are really building networks for their development. I'd like to underscore on collaboration. Collaboration would allow us to be more in step with the thinking of other people. You know, there are instances that we are limited to what we believe is right and what we believe is not good. But then again, when we are going to collaborate, when we are going to listen to others, we would realize that there are new gems of wisdom to crop up. There are new ideas which could be applied to our own ecology. That's the reason why collaboration is one of the best things to happen during these times of the pandemic, during these times of the new normal. I'd like to encourage as well other school heads to innovate. Innovation is a necessity, and if we innovate, imagine if we all of the school heads would innovate, and these innovations would be shared, you know, across the division, across the region, or even across the country. There is really a tendency that good outputs would be realized. Not just good outputs, but good outcomes. That's the reason why we encourage building networks, we encourage collaboration, and we encourage sharing of best practices. Now, since this is a research forum, I'd like to put this very important thing of discussion. As school heads, we need to develop a culture of research. We need to highlight the importance of research culture and engage all staff across the school. Presentations, workshops, and panel discussions could be given from across the districts. So we are doing that. We have district research conferences. Different departments could showcase the ways they have improved research culture and integrity, as well as addressing areas where there is still room for improvement. The point of this slide is for us to be able to develop a culture of research. Our research coordinator, Ms. Lisa, is trying her best rather to make research as a culture among the schools, as a culture among the districts, and eventually a culture in the division. Why research? Research would allow us to look for interventions. Research would allow us to revisit old practices and develop new innovations. Research would allow us to understand what are the mitigating factors on the gaps, what are the mitigating things that we could do on the gaps that we are encountering right now. One of the researches that we are conducting in our school right now is the viability of textbook as the main tool for learning delivery. We are conducting a research right now, and we are into the analysis of the results and the data gathered from the respondents and gathered from the learners, if the textbooks are viable enough to become learning modules. So why do we do this? The main reason that we are doing this, although this is really a brilliant idea of the superintendent and Ma'am Carmen tasked me to do that, I told some of the teachers that we need to be scientific in dealing with this particular inquiry. We need to put statistical treatments in the things that we do for us to be able to give a scientific set of recommendations. Ma'am Carmen told us to look into the consideration of the textbook as the main tool for the modality or the modular modality versus the worksheets that we are doing too. So we are having two communities or two groups of learners. One is the control group, the Doyos learners, and the Gomoton learners was for the experimental group. So that's the reason why we are trying to deal with this, to look for cost-effective measures, cost-efficient measures for us not to have a lot of resources, especially in printing things, be spent. So when this particular research would be realized or would be analyzed and the recommendations would be given to the superintendents, policies will be developed out from the research. And these policies will be cascaded to the different schools or the entire division. So the policy would allow us to look into cost efficiency for us to be able to make learning continuity happen. So the culture of research is a necessity not just to big companies but also academic communities just like the school. A lot of people, specifically school heads, would shy away from doing research. In fact, when I look into the IPCRF result of the master teachers whom are considered to become research, what we call them as research persons, they find this particular thing difficult. That's the reason why in the SPPD of Carrascal National High School, we are putting a lot of premium on a lock session for research, specifically for the master teachers. Why? Because classroom interventions, things which could allow the learners to learn more, mitigating factors, recommendations, scientific analysis must be in place in the school, because without these things, there is a tendency that the academic community or academic movement of the school will become stagnant. So therefore, I have to repeatedly say that we need to develop a culture of research. We need to highlight the importance of research culture and engage the staff, the teachers across the school. Okay, we would also like to listen and we would also like to attend, just like what we did a while ago, to the presentations of the different schools for us to be able to benchmark, for us to be able to understand that there is what we call as importance of this particular thing. So I already gave you some of the takeaways of this particular talk. I already told you about the importance of these things, specifically the collaboration part, and the consideration that we are one DepEd. In wrapping up the discussion that I'd like to show to you, I'd like to go back to the discussion of being proactive. It was already mentioned by Kofi that there are two types of persons. We have persons who are reactive and persons who are proactive. Reactive persons would wait for things which would allow him or her to do actions out or reactions out from a certain situation. And there are also persons who could be considered as proactive. These persons would think first. No, they have this mindset of looking forward. They are thinking ahead. No, they are looking things in a new perspective ahead of the time. So they are prepared, they are disciplined, and they are doing things on the right track. So uh, there is a tendency that a lot of us are just waiting for instructions from the division office. There is a mindset that we need to just wait for what is being taught. But in the new normal, a growth mindset or a dynamic mindset must be considered by each and every one of us, specifically the school leaders and the school managers. Why? Why do we have to consider that? Because these are different times. These are difficult times. So we could not be toppled with the virus. We could not be toppled by the new normal, so-called new normal. We need to continuously allow education to happen. Try to imagine a community with people who have less knowledge, who have no skills, and bad attitudes thriving around them. Try imagining a municipality full of people with no competencies, full of people who could be considered dysfunctional. And try to imagine a country with people who are not educated. So, as school leaders, we need to impose, we need to plan, we need to implement these plans, and we need to think ahead in order for the mission and the vision of the department to be realized. So, therefore, proactivity and thinking ahead and having a mindset of dynamism and having a mindset of growth must be in place because there is a tendency that learning and development would really happen because it is directly proportional. Development would happen when there is learning rather. So we need to look into that particular mindset. We need to understand that by collaborating, but by sharing best practices, by researching, and by capacitating the teachers, we are going to understand that if these things would be realized, there is progress and there is success in our fields. So today, as I'd like to end my talk to you, I'd like to congratulate those school heads who are in step with this particular mindset. I'd like to commend you for your efforts, especially those who are planning ahead, especially for those who are doing things right, especially those who are capacitating the teachers, especially those who are burning their midnight candles. I'd also like to congratulate and commend the teachers who are tuning in right now, who are doing their best in thinking not just for the outputs, but for the outcomes, in realizing that we are not looking into just the materials, but learning. Congratulations for those who are thinking about products, not just processes. We understand that our product is learning. Although the processes that we are trying to fine tune are important, but we need to understand that the outcome of all these processes is learning. And that's the reason why we need to fine tune them for us to be able to attain achievement or academic achievement among our learners. For the persons in the division office, specifically with the research team, and of course with the active manning of resources by the superintendent and the different chiefs of the CID and the SGOD, I'd like to commend you for allowing these things to happen in the field because we need to understand that we have to be cohesive in the efforts of pushing towards a direction of success. This cohesiveness must be instilled in the minds not just of the teachers, of the school heads, of the supervisors, but also among parents and among stakeholders. And we need to continue doing it. We need to continue dealing with it so that we would be able to realize our mandate. We would be able to come across and we would be able to make the Philippines a better place because of our department. So with that, I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd like to understand that I hope there was some input that was being released and that was being intercepted by you. So again, thank you very much. Good morning, and we need to do solong edukalidad. Thank you, and again, good morning.
Thank you, Dr. Koss, for giving our school heads the right mindset in the new normal. Your discussion is very helpful as they journey towards the continuing education. Friends, we will also have another discussion on how a research will be conducted at this time that we don't have a face-to-face interaction with our learners. For this, we also have a resource speaker. She's a product of Philippine Normal University, Mindanao, with a degree of Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor in Secondary Education, major in English. She earned her master's degree in Educational Management at Surigao del Sur State University and RNA Facilitator and Surigao del Sur Division Research Focal Person. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Senior Education Program Specialist in Planning and Research, Ms. Liza M. Gingging.
Good morning, everyone. Sincerely, we thank you for staying with us in this research forum. It's our pleasure to give you relevant information as we prepare for the new normal ways of education gearing towards the opening of classes. I only have a very short part today. This is to share to you how to continue classroom and school researches despite this health crisis. You might think of challenges considering that we don't have face-to-face interaction with our learners. But this is not the time to stop researching because we need to understand our learners, our teachers, and other people with their interactions with the learning delivery set for them and what they're going through more than ever. There are a lot of situations that are worth the subjects for research, and there are also a lot of issues and concerns that we need to address through data-based interventions. Along this line, we need to be more creative in a way that we could help also our learners, fellow teachers, and school leaders to cope with the challenging times. Before moving forward, I will give you first a short overview of action research in education. We are all very much aware that based on our previous activities and experiences, that action research is an attractive option for teacher researchers, school administrators and staff, and other stakeholders in the teaching and learning environment to consider. Specifically, action research in education can be defined as the process of studying school situation to understand and improve the quality of the educative process. And according to Johnson in 2012, action research also provides teachers with a new knowledge and understanding about how to improve educational practices or resolve significant problems in classrooms and schools. But the question is, how we can continue doing it at this time that we have space limitation. Actually, we don't have to overhaul our research to fit in the new normal. Just have to rewire our research ethics and data gathering procedures. For research ethics, in the old normal, we have the usual ethical parameters like confidentiality of data, anonymity of data, data privacy law, moral principles, and also adherence to cultural practices and tradition, and the rules of conduct. At this new normal situation, we need to follow minimum health standards and protocols, like no congregational ready of respondents, there is an observance to physical distancing. And of course, we need to wear PPEs or face masks. And we need to minimize mobility and transportation. And we will also record travel histories and COVID-related symptoms. It does not mean that we are going to forget already the old normal practices in research ethics. It's just that we need to add the suggested minimum health standards. This is to impose safety not just for the researchers, but also safety among the people involved in research. And we need to really adhere this one. We all understand that nothing quite compares to the depth of in-person interviewing. The shared body language, trust-building chit-chat as you settle down to talk, and the scattered clues left throughout the home are all very difficult to replicate in remote research. But as the coronavirus pandemic continues to evolve, our collective safety depends on finding creative ways to do our research digitally. That is why this time we will be setting data gathering modalities in the new normal. We are going to compare what ways are added from the data gathering procedure in the old normal. These modalities shall be based on the research design that we will be using. Take, for example, descriptive case study for qualitative. The data gathering procedure in the old normal will be content analysis, face-to-face interview, and also focus group discussions, or you can combine both. But in the new normal, still you will be having content analysis, but instead of face-to-face interview or face-to-face focus group discussion, if you can do it through video or voice call with recording, or if you can have the recorded teleconferencing, the ones that we are doing now in our seminars, or if you really need to have face-to-face interview or face-to-face focus group discussions, let us see to it that there will be limited members, like you only have 4 to 5 members in a certain venue, using also PPEs and with stringent social distancing of 1 to 2 meters away. Not more than 10 participants, and should have declaration of no travel history and COVID-related symptoms. So as you can see, from the old normal to the new normal, still the same, the purpose is to gather relevant information and data that would contribute to your research, to our research. But we need to adhere these health protocols as much as possible. Another example is when you are going to employ descriptive survey for quantitative research, you will be using survey questionnaire, usually in Likert scale or checklist or test questionnaire in the old normal. How can we gather data or relevant data at this new normal time? The use of the survey or checklist or test questionnaires can be floated and retrieved through online using Google Form or guided phone call. Also, we can print these instruments, and this can also be distributed through the help of the local government unit personnel. So we need to collaborate with them in the delivery and in the retrieval of the survey questionnaires or the printed instruments. But as we do that, we need also to observe minimum health protocols like the wearing of PPEs or face masks, and also in adhering to the physical distancing, and also with minimal number of participants at that particular venue. So still the same, there might be addition, there might be changes in gathering information at this new normal time, but the purpose is still there. You are gathering relevant data. In conducting the different modalities in research in the new normal situation, as a researcher, we need also to show to the participants extra kindness and flexibility. We all understand that life is intruding in more ways, and they tend to be more emotional and scatterbrained than ever. Simple techniques can draw participants into the conversation, and you can help them open up with the following strategies also, like flexibility when scheduling. Participants may need to change or miss a session for health or family reasons, and we should make sure they know this is okay. As researchers, let's also show ourselves the same empathy and flexibility we have for our participants. We all understand that research can be very emotionally draining, even in the new normal times. And this is very common. And many of us are finding that the pandemic is adding to that stress. So we need to find ways of decompressing and practicing self-care that will work for us and make time for our participants religiously. Like showing ourselves this kindness will help us be present for participants and ultimately make us better researchers. Friends and fellow researchers, our circumstances today are all very different. Where we each get joy and stress from is also different. If we can identify a thing that we can do that brings joy and value to us and also to others, and that is great. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. I hope that my short discussion will help you also realize that research is very important as we continue to prepare for the opening of classes. May it be in the old normal time and in the new normal time. Research really is part of the educative process. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for making research a culture in Surigao del Sur Division.
Thank you, Miss Liza. At least now I also have the idea how to continue my research as soon as the class starts.
Yes, Teacher Myla. It's really been a fruitful and productive day for all of us. All the information shared are relevant as we continue to prepare for these new normal ways in education.
And let's call it a day. This has been Miss Rochelle and Amila A. Paranda, Teacher 3 of Cantila National High School.
And this has been Jazel Sheen S. Ahit, Teacher 3 of Cantila National High School, saying bye for now and see you all again in the next research forum in October. Thank you, Dr. Koss, for giving our school heads the right mindset in the new normal. Your discussion is very helpful as they journey towards the continuing education. Friends, we will also have another discussion on how a research will be conducted at this time that we don't have a face-to-face interaction with our learners. For this, we also have a resource speaker. She's a product of Philippine Normal University, Mindanao, with a degree of Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor in Secondary Education, major in English. She earned her master's degree in Educational Management at Surigao del Sur State University and RNAA Facilitator and Surigao del Sur Division Research Focal Person. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Senior Education Program Specialist in Planning and Research, Ms. Liza M. Gingging.
Good morning, everyone. Sincerely, we thank you for staying with us in this research forum. It's our pleasure to give you relevant information as we prepare for the new normal ways of education gearing towards the opening of classes. I only have a very short part today. This is to share to you how to continue classroom and school researches despite this health crisis. You might think of challenges considering that we don't have face-to-face interaction with our learners. But this is not the time to stop researching because we need to understand our learners, our teachers, and other people with their interactions with the learning delivery set for them and what they're going through more than ever. There are a lot of situations that are worth the subjects for research, and there are also a lot of issues and concerns that we need to address through data-based interventions. Along this line, we need to be more creative in a way that we could help also our learners, fellow teachers, and school leaders to cope with the challenging times. Before moving forward, I will give you first a short overview of action research in education. We are all very much aware that based on our previous activities and experiences, that action research is an attractive option for teacher researchers, school administrators and staff, and other stakeholders in the teaching and learning environment to consider. Specifically, action research in education can be defined as the process of studying school situation to understand and improve the quality of the educative process. And according to Johnson in 2012, action research also provides teachers with a new knowledge and understanding about how to improve educational practices or resolve significant problems in classrooms and schools. But the question is, how we can continue doing it at this time that we have space limitation. Actually, we don't have to overhaul our research to fit in the new normal. Just have to rewire our research ethics and data gathering procedures. For research ethics, in the old normal, we have the usual ethical parameters like confidentiality of data, anonymity of data, data privacy law, moral principles, and also adherence to cultural practices and tradition, and the rules of conduct. At this new normal situation, we need to follow minimum health standards and protocols, like no congregation already of respondents. There is an observance to physical distancing. And of course, we need to wear PPEs or face masks. And we need to minimize mobility and transportation. And we will also record travel histories and COVID-related symptoms. It does not mean that we are going to forget already the old normal practices in research ethics. It's just that we need to add the suggested minimum health standards. This is to impose safety, not just for the researchers, but also safety among the people involved in research. And we need to really adhere this one. We all understand that nothing quite compares to the depth of in-person interviewing. The shared body language, trust-building chit-chat as you settle down to talk, and the scattered clues left throughout the home are all very difficult to replicate in remote research. But as the coronavirus pandemic continues to evolve, our collective safety depends on finding creative ways to do our research digitally. That is why this time we will be setting data gathering modalities in the new normal. We are going to compare what ways are added from the data gathering procedure in the old normal. These modalities shall be based on the research design that we will be using. Take, for example, descriptive case study for qualitative. The data gathering procedure in the old normal will be content analysis, face-to-face interview, and also focus group discussions, or you can combine both. But in the new normal, still you will be having content analysis, but instead of face-to-face interview or face-to-face focus group discussion, if you can do it through video or voice call with recording, or if you can have the recorded teleconferencing, the ones that we are doing now in our seminars, or if you really need to have face-to-face interview or face-to-face focus group discussions, let us see to it that there will be limited members, like you only have 4 to 5 members in a certain venue, using also PPEs and with stringent social distancing of 1 to 2 meters away. Not more than 10 participants, and should have declaration of no travel history and COVID-related symptoms. So as you can see, from the old normal to the new normal, still the same, the purpose is to gather relevant information and data that would contribute to your research, to our research. But we need to adhere these health protocols as much as possible. Another example is when you are going to employ descriptive survey for quantitative research, you will be using survey questionnaire, usually in Likert scale or checklist or test questionnaire in the old normal. How can we gather data or relevant data at this new normal time? The use of the survey or checklist or test questionnaires can be floated and retrieved through online using Google Form or guided phone call. Also, we can print these instruments, and this can also be distributed through the help of the local government unit personnel. So we need to collaborate with them in the delivery and in the retrieval of the survey questionnaires or the printed instruments. But as we do that, we need also to observe minimum health protocols like the wearing of PPEs or face masks, and also in adhering with the physical distancing, and also with minimal number of participants at that particular venue. So still the same, there might be addition, there might be changes in gathering information at this new normal time, but the purpose is still there. You are gathering relevant data. In conducting the different modalities in research in the new normal situation, as a researcher, we need also to show to the participants extra kindness and flexibility. We all understand that life is intruding in more ways, and they tend to be more emotional and scatterbrained than ever. Simple techniques can draw participants into the conversation, and you can help them open up with the following strategies also, like flexibility when scheduling. Participants may need to change or miss a session for health or family reasons, and we should make sure they know this is okay. As researchers, let's also show ourselves the same empathy and flexibility we have for our participants. We all understand that research can be very emotionally draining, even in the new normal times, and this is very common. And many of us are finding that the pandemic is adding to that stress. So we need to find ways of decompressing and practicing self-care that will work for us and make time for our participants religiously. Like showing ourselves this kindness will help us be present for participants and ultimately make us better researchers. Friends and fellow researchers, our circumstances today are all very different. Where we each get joy and stress from is also different. If we can identify a thing that we can do that brings joy and value to us and also to others, and that is great. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. I hope that my short discussion will help you also realize that research is very important as we continue to prepare for the opening of classes. May it be in the old normal time and in the new normal time. Research really is part of the educative process. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for making research a culture in Surigao del Sur Division.
Thank you, Miss Liza. At least now I also have the idea how to continue my research as soon as the class starts.
Yes, Teacher Myla. It's really been a fruitful and productive day for all of us. All the information shared are relevant as we continue to prepare for these new normal ways in education.
And let's call it a day. This has been Miss Rochelle and Amila A. Paranda, Teacher 3 of Cantila National High School.
And this has been Jazel Sheen S. Ahit, Teacher 3 of Cantila National High School, saying bye for now and see you all again in the next Research Forum in October.